Um, well, listen, I think the interesting games in terms of the halves being so different. I got a lot of respect for IPFW. Got a lot of respect for Purdue Fort Wayne and what John does and how they play and really what they've done now for 4 or 5 years. And they were a team watching them on tape that you knew could really get going. And I think that what we saw on video against UCLA, I thought we'd definitely see a different team for an extended period of time, and we did. And I give them a lot of credit. I mean, without Dwayne's 2 threes there late in the first half, it's a tie game, probably, or right there. It's a one-possession game. His 2 threes were really critical for us in that stretch. It just kind of broke open, gave us a little bit of life, and then we had the poor play there late. But a lot of good things to take from this game. I think probably we're not as good as we were in the second half, and they struggled more than that's not who they are either. So I'm not sure how accurate that is. But
Chris, you were very complimentary of Conchar the other day.
Yeah.
What did you think of how Luther guarded him today?
He was terrific, and he was important on him because he just made him work, moved his feet, made him earn it. Listen, when you look at his stats against high major competition, mid major, it doesn't matter. It's unbelievable. Now, he has to do a lot for his team right now, but I mean, you're talking about a guy who averaged 16, 8, 4, led the team in steals. He's a terrific player. His vision is great. John puts him in great spots. So to have Luther just make him work and earn it, and I thought CJ did a good job too, mixing up with Conchar, and then also, we had some concern about Harrell, 32, being a guy who could make 5, 6 threes, and they did a good job on that.
I know for you guys to be successful, you're obviously going to have to play really good team defense, but people will look at what Luther did guarding Conchar and be excited about that. Just how would you describe Luther's approach to defense as a freshman? Is it on a different level from maybe most freshmen or some freshmen you encounter?
Yeah, and I think his team awareness has to grow and get better. But I mean, he is who we recruited, in the sense of we fell in love with the kid when we recruited him, because what you saw today is who he is. He's ready to take on a challenge against a really good player. It's his identity, and yet he's a more than capable offensive player. But that's why we've chased him every day like we did, because we knew how important that was going to be for us.
John was saying that he felt that you guys are playing really good team defense because guys seem committed and guys seem to be playing with a little bit of fire. Are you drawing something from Luther, from Dwayne, from the way those guys seem to bring a little bit of swagger or a little bit of something extra to the court?
Well, I wouldn't be ready to say. I'm not. I think Luther's mentality defensively and his competitiveness, I'm sure that bleeds into other guys for sure. Dwayne's still got a ways to go, and so does Luther on that end. But I think their confidence is contagious for sure. I think that's what you're asking, and I do think their confidence is contagious. Like I said, Dwayne's 2 threes were monumental for us. Those guys, they play unafraid, and they're excited about the challenge, and I think they had great respect for this team.
Scary moment with Andre there.
Yeah.
And he obviously came back in a little bit in the second half. Did you keep him out for the rest of the game because it was kind of out of hand? Was it a precautionary, or is there an update on him and how he's doing? Just
mainly because of the injury. Yeah, I would have played him more. If it was a close game, he'd have definitely played. But I just didn't want, and I couldn't put him back in, after he got his 4th foul. That was the reason he came out, but I wasn't going to put him back in because he was tight. But listen, I think we did some good things today, but as I think back about some parts of that first half where we got beat to loose balls, and I think we need to be better in a lot of areas. I thought they got to more loose balls than we did, and I think we need more guys more ready than at times what we had today. And I need to do a good job making sure that happens. No, I think I think he's going to be sore. He took a really hard fall. It honestly, it appeared live like it was clearly a foul, but you know, I have to look at the tape. I think he said he got hit in the face. And anytime you go up and try to make a play, he did a great job running the floor. We did a great job passing it to him, and I think he went in with his left hand. But obviously they didn't call it. So
a couple things. The shots going in for a lot of guys can be a good thing, but may hurt you in terms of shot selection going forward if everyone believes every shot they're going to take is going to go in. Just, you want the confidence, but how much do you have to coach these guys back into saying these are good shots that we're looking for?
Yeah, I think that's a process that is evolving, Steve, and I don't know that that's going to be, you know, Dwayne's a freshman, Luther's a freshman, Key's new. CJ, you know, can get more happy with the three probably at times than I want him to, but they were going under a lot of ball screens today, and he's worked on that part of his game. But I do think that, you know, we've got to continue to put pressure on the rim. We have to continue to look inside. Their defense was built around stopping Caleb today, and that's clear that they were set up to try to do that. And that's not going to be the only team we're going to play that's going to be set up to try to stop him. And we've got to continue to look in there and also be ready to take the open shot.
Other question, you didn't play Jadon Ledee in the Cincinnati game, probably a bit rugged environment down there for a true freshman, but he comes out, I think he had 17 points in this game. Just, does that give you some confidence in him knowing he's not going to be in awe of this situation? We can play him in tougher spots going forward.
I think his play in the first half is really more than you can. Not the second half is the second half, but the play in the first half is what I thought what was good for him. Those short minutes that he gave us, where he didn't turn it over, he didn't create any offensive, he didn't have any offensive fouls. He did his job. He rebounded. He defended with activity. He finished a couple plays or got fouled. He's a very good free throw shooter. But I think those minutes early those minutes in the first half are, I think, critical for him and critical for us moving forward.
Chris, kind of going off of that, talking about the freshmen, just how have you been surprised at how well and how much of an impact they've made here early on, or is this where you thought some of those guys would be at this point?
You know, I think it's. I don't know that I've been surprised because I think they're good players, but rest assured they're going to go through their ups and downs, and that's going to come for them, and you know, for all of our guys, but certainly for our freshmen, how they handle that's going to be really important. But you know, they're good players, and I think we've got another tremendous test on Thursday where they'll be put in an environment where that'll be challenged.
You expressed a lot of concern about the first three games, and the players who were here, Luther and CJ, were just talking about how great practice was leading to this game. How about how the players went into a tough environment in Cincinnati, the way they practiced, and then got ready for the second game without getting a little fat-headed?
Yeah, I think this team understands that, you know, it's as we talked about after the Cincinnati game. Listen, it's way too early in the season to make any, you know, have any real idea on where we're at or make any statement about where we're at or where another team we play is at. We just are trying to get better with every day in practice that's in front of us, and that's what we're really trying to be committed to doing. And beyond that, you know, you know, who knows at this point, right? It's such a long year, and I think, as I mentioned in the Cincinnati game, I was more concerned about how they were going to come back and practice and respond. I think we had good attention to detail, which was good.
With 28 attempts from three, is this the kind of offense that you expect out of your team moving forward?
I don't know that 28 is going to be a normal night. That's pretty high number, but you know, I think some of those were late. But I do think that, you know, as I mentioned, we're going to shoot more than we did last year because we have more 3-point shooters. more guys that can shoot it, but I don't know that 28 will be a consistent number. Having said that, again, there are going to be teams that are going to say, hey, we're going to pack the paint, and we still got to continue to make Caleb the focal point, but, you know, there are going to be times where guys are going to have open looks because of that.
Chris, we saw the team mob you a little bit when they announced it was your birthday. Just wondering if at any point in the second half you considered asking for, as a belated gift, saving some of those points for next Thursday.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. We actually just kind of had the game on in the background, their game earlier today. You know, the older you get, such a nice thing by our PA to mention my birthday, but the older you get, right, we all would like let's just slide under the radar when you turn the clock another year. But it was great. Those guys, they sang to me. I'd be glad many of them play basketball. But they sang to me in the locker room, and that was fun. And, you know, Caleb coming over and mob, that was fun.
They sing to you before or after the game?
Yeah, after the game. They kept saying to me, why didn't you tell us it was your birthday? And I said, fellas, you know, you want me to announce it on Twitter or what? Like, I just not what you do when you get older. But we were trying to win the game. Like, all I was worried about, all I wanted today, I told my wife, all I wanted was a win. And it was anxious. You know, every game's anxious. I got up this morning, went for a long run, 5-mile run, ran as fast as I could. I knew I was anxious. My pregame meal was basically a bag of cookies, so you can tell the anxiety that was going into this game here.
All right, another basketball question. A game like this was tight in the first half, and then you kind of ran away with it in the second half. It seemed like visually your team began playing together more in the second half. Was that a good game, the way it happened for your young players?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that we didn't play together in the first half. I'd have to look at the tape, but I don't know that I would necessarily say that. I just think there were times where they played more aggressively. They beat us to more loose balls in the first half. That was what I was most disappointed. But you know, to think that they're a good team. It's a very good program and a really good team. You know, we're not going to come out and overwhelm a team like that in the first 10 minutes typically. You know, it may happen over time. Having said that, there are definitely some things we need to do better than what we did in the first half.
Is one of those things rebounding?
Yes. Thought we got beat to a lot of loose balls, a lot of long rebounds. And again, I have to obviously do a better job of making that a priority for us because we got beat too many times. We really did.
I'll ask you one more about Luther, because I think there was a moment in the first half where you could tell he was sort of feeling his defensive presence a little bit, and he was really up on Conchar and like smiling and I think talking a little bit, and you on the sideline just sort of went like this. Like, how do you have to manage his emotions, Luther's emotions, when he's in that kind of mode? Obviously, you want him to defend really well, but you don't want him to do something out of hand and get a foul.
Yeah, I just don't want him to average a technical a game. So, you know, he got one the other night, and it's who he is. And again, if you know, when we saw him in AAU, you know, we'd have an 8 a.m. game, and Luther Muhammad would be out there doing that at an 8 a.m. game. The only guy on both teams, you know, with that personality, the only guy, 8 a.m. game, doing that. And, you know, I told Coach Shiragi, we got to get him. We got to get him. So, again, he's going to have ups and downs, but that really is who he is. Okay.